Alright, so we're looking at this weld table here. So this is 40 by 40 by 3 box section. We've got overall height of 1000 with a 16mm plate here and 1150 by 750 um, sizes there. So what I'm going to do straight away here is I'm going to work out the center line measurements for these things so that I can draw like a box that I can base this all around, because the frame generator works a lot easier off center lines. And the other thing you could do is draw a box and then create a frame on it and then change the size to suit. But we might as well work it out since we've got a given dimension here. So we'll go 1110 and we'll go 710 here. And if we go 984 minus 150 minus 40 again, that gives us 794. So that's going to be our basis of our frame here. So let's go into inventor. We'll go for a new standard millimeter. Start a 2D sketch. We'll go XY plane, rectangle, 2-point center. Click the center there, and we want to go 1110 by 710. Then I'm just going to go to extrude, and I'm going to bring that out 794. And hit OK. The next thing I'm going to do is change the appearance. I'm going to change it to clear. Just change it to clear like this, because this is just basically for reference. So now I'm going to save this part, create a new folder for the welding table, weld table. And I'm going to call this the weld table skeleton. Right, let's close out of here. Let's go file new millimeter IAM. I'm going to expand the browser here, so we've got these planes open, and then I'm going to go place, bring in that skeleton file there, and I'm just going to click it down like that, press escape, and expand these origins here. And what I'm going to do is just constrain it to the assembly space, so the assembly space planes are exactly the same as the planes within this part. With a flush constraint with all these planes, so they'll be all in the same point. Apply, apply, apply. So this, the planes within this assembly space are all constrained the same as this skeleton part here. So I can collapse these for now. Now I'm just going to make sure I have the right orientation. So I'm going to inspect it, measure, and I know it should be 794 high, so that's the 794 there. So I'm just going to rotate this around like that. Look at the front, what's currently the front, and I'm just going to set current view. I'm going to set current view as top. Then I'm going to click around it, and I'm going to make my home view table in this orientation. So right click on this cube, on the home thing here, set current view as home, fit to view. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to come over to View and Visual Style, shaded with edges, just so the edge is a bit more clear. Next thing I'm going to do is come along to this Design tab here and go Insert Frame. So it says I have to save it first, so I'll go Weld Table. You can see we've come up with all sorts of standards here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to drop down here and I'm going to go into ISO, come down to here, square, structural hollow sections. Then I'm going to drop down this menu here to 40 by 40 by 3. And now we've got our placement. So now I'm just going to click around all these lines here where I want the frame. And go, okay, so that's all our frame members in place. It's going to save them all as individual parts into that folder. Go, okay, okay. Now I'm just going to turn off that skeleton that we have. So we don't need to see that anymore. And now we've basically got to trim these things and extend them to length. So the way I want to do it, I want to have these four uprights. I want to have these four uprights stay solid, and then these bars supporting it going across fit in between them. So I'm going to go trim. It says select a face. I'm going to select this face here and select frame members. I'm going to select all of these ones. Go okay. So now if you look, it butts into that. You can give it a bit of a gap if you like. I haven't in this instance. Let's do the same thing again on the other side. Go trim, select the face, this one here. The members, same members again. Okay, so it'll trim them up to this width here. Now I want to make sure I do the same with these parts. So these are the uprights, so I'm going to trim these four members back. Go trim, get that face, and these four members here. Okay, and just rotate it around. Now we still need to trim up these ones here. You can see they're overlapping here. So let's go to trim, select that face, and select these four. Okay, so that's all our inside members that are going between the vertical members. So that's all our horizontals are trimmed to size. Now I'm going to go extend, and I'm going to go this face, and I'll select the member, this one, and this one, this one, and this one. So they're all going to come up to the top. So they're all going to be flat, flush along the top there. Go OK. Now I'm going to do the same thing down the bottom. Or different. Now I'm going to do a different thing down the bottom. I'm going to extend these by 20 plus the 150 that is underneath. So there's 150 to the bottom of it. We're working from centers, so that's 170 overall. So let's go lengthen. And we'll go this one, this one, this one, this one, type in 170, and you see they're all come up that way. So if it went downwards, we'd just have to flip the direction there. So let's click OK. And there's our frame. So the next thing we could do is just measure it, just make sure it's come out right. Go inspect, and we'll go this face to this face, which should be 1150, which we've got right there. We'll go this face to this face, which is 750, and we'll go the top to the bottom here, which is going to be 984. So there we go, that's our frame done. Next thing we can do is we can come over here to assemble, and we can create. So let's create a new part. Let's call it the table top. We'll drop down this template, and we're going to go standard millimeter IPT. Okay. And I'm just going to click over here. I'm going to start a sketch on, zoom into this plane here, XY plane. Zoom back out. Go for a rectangle, and we want the overall size to be 1200 by 800. Okay. You can see we're still in that same space there. Now let's extrude this by 16 mil, because it's going to be the top of our table. 16 mil plate. And we'll do a fillet on the corners. So I'll grab all the four corners of it. That one there. That one there. That one there, and this one as well. Let's go 20 millimeters fillet. Okay, and I'm just going to make sure the material is set to steel mold. And now we can go to return. So now we've got another part in there, which is our tabletop. So now we just need to place that on the top of it. So what I'm going to do is get the origin planes so I can line it up centrally, and same with this one. So I'm going to constrain, first off, I'm going to constrain the top of this to the top of the table, that surface there. I'm going to go to tabletop, expand these planes here and go YZ. Let's have a look. We've got YZ, and we want that to line up with YZ of this one. So that is a mate, as looks alright there. And XZ to XZ. So it's come up, it's around the wrong way. So I'm just going to close that, and we'll change that to a flush. So XZ to XZ flush. So sometimes it will, depending how exactly you've drawn it, it might be one way or the other. So just do it the way that works. So that that's all constrained together now. So now I've got our table. Let's save it. Save yes to all, and that's going to save all of our frame members and everything, all the changes there. So now we've got our table saved. We're going to put it into a drawing file and add a couple of weld symbols here. So we'll go new T per King drawing template. Let's bring in the table assembly. Right there. I'm going to find a nice view for the corner. And we're going to go, let's make it a little bit bigger. About this big, seems good. and make sure we've got it on shaded, and we'll go to display and make sure our tangent edges are on. I'll drag that up into the top right corner there. Now I'm going to bring in the third angle views, so let's go into that folder. And we're going to go 1 to 9 scale for this one. That's what's fit nice, that's what fits well. Hidden line removed, make sure our tangent edges are on so we can see the edges of the box section, etc. Let's drag that over here, right click, project, view, put the top up here, do the same thing again, bring it out to the side. And it's simple enough to dimension this one. Let's just throw the dimensions in to the outside to the outside. So we're going to go 1150 this way. And the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to say the tolerance doesn't need to be within 0.5 mil, so I'm going to round that to the nearest whole number. So 150, round to the whole number. Let's do this edge to this edge. Try and line it up with the other one, about there. Round this up to the whole number again. And we'll put a overall dimension on this part. So round that up to the nearest number. And in the text tab here, we can just put an O/overall because that's including the 16mm plate at the top. And now we need to dimension the height of the box section to the bottom of the plate. So we'll go to the bottom of the plate, to the bottom of this leg here, and that's 984. And we'll just round that up to a whole number as well. Let's dimension the top plate itself. So now we've got our views dimension, let's do a parts list. So if we in annotate tab here, we come over to parts list, and the thing we can do is just click on the view here, or any of these views that's showing everything joined together. Let's go OK. I'm just going to say the bomb view is disabled, so just say go OK and we'll create one. Then we'll drop this table here, so it's going to be a bit big for our drawing right now, but we're going to go into it by double clicking it, and we're going to go over to this thing here, column chooser. So we don't really need a description of them, so we can remove that row. So let's click on description over here and remove, and you can see all the different rows you can add in there if you want. There's quite a lot of them. Let's go OK. Now item 1, weld table skeleton. That's just the file we made just to base everything on, so we don't need that. So we're going to make that invisible. The next thing we're going to do is rename these ones because we want to start at 1. So we're going to name 2 to 1, 3 to 2, 4 to 3, and 5 to 4. And let's just tidy up these descriptions a bit. So it's 40 by 40 by 3, 670 long, and we should put square hollow section in front of that. and instead of calling this table top, we'll call it 16 millimeter mild steel plate 1200 by 800. Apply that and go OK. Now we've got a much smaller parts list. We can drag that over here. We still don't have quite enough room, but we can shrink the item number, and we can also shrink this a wee bit as well if we want. And now we've got a parts list that fits. And the other thing you'll notice is it's got quantity. So quantity is the total quantity of the parts cut at that length. So you see that's a 670 and that's a 1070. So I probably wouldn't want to know the whole total quantity. I'd want to know how many there are. So I know there's 4 of each type. So let's go over this. We'll delete what it says here. We'll just go 4, 4, 4, apply, close out of that. Now we can shrink the quantity down as well. Stretch the whole thing out. And that fits there nicely now. Next thing we need to do is we need to add some balloons. We can do auto balloon and do a whole bunch, or we can do one at a time. So I'm just going to do one at a time this time to place them a bit easier by themselves. You can see that the part number's changed as we've changed it in the table. So when you change it down there, that was originally 4, it's now 3. So if you change it in the table, it'll change it when you select it up here as well. So that one's 2, and we can give this one over here, and the top of it, we can click on it over here. So they'll follow that table. The next thing we need to do is put a couple of weld symbols on here. So we've got a welding symbol thing here, and for the top, we don't want to weld all the way around. We only want to hit and miss weld, partially. So I'm just going to click on that edge because it's as close as I can get to that view. And I'm going to continue on there. It's going to bring up this menu. So because it's upside down, we want to have the triangle going upside down. Leave this one blank. And we're going to do a 4 mil. And we're going to do MIG. So GMAW, 4 mil. And we're going to put in here, we want 20 mils of weld per 80 mil of distance, 20 to 80. So let's go OK on that one. And I'll just come back into it and edit. We don't want, we just want it to be plain like this, no line there. So that's a nice fillet weld symbol there. So they know to fillet weld it 20 mil for every 80, so it'll be 20, 60, 20, 60. And then we've got another weld here, so let's go to weld symbol and I'll click on that edge. So technically there's two types of welds going on here. There's fillet weld on 3 sides of it and then a butt weld on the other. But if you do this, you will be fine. So you can do a fillet weld symbol, and we'll say it's a 4 mil fillet again. On here we want to make sure we have a circle, which means weld all the way around, and we'll make sure we got GMAW here as well. So whoever looks at this in the shop will go, oh yep, it's 4 mil fillet all the way around, and then they should have the brains to figure out that that will just be a butt weld. So they'll be just welding that. That's all they really need to know. Let's go to scale. So for scale, I've got 1 to 9. Material, and for this one, I'm just going to put mild steel because there's multiple types of it in there, but in general, it's just mild steel. Part, welding table. That's our drawing all done, so now we just need to save it. And we'll go to export as a PDF. Welding table will do. So in terms of files that I want for this one, is all I want is the PDF because I don't want to have to download all of these frame members and everything. Just give me a PDF with the weld symbols on it and a parts list with the bubbles so we know what every part is.